Peace and blessings. How you doing? Father Augustino here, and now we're in the 5th week of Lent. What an incredible journey. I don't know how your Lent has been, but it has been a blessed Lent, a difficult Lent, a Lent mixed with positives and difficulties. I know me personally, I'm feeling that we had 2 solemnities on 2 Fridays of Lent. So I'm trying to think of ways that I can fast a couple days more this week. Not to make up, but just to offer up a little bit more for this Lent. And I hope that you are doing the same. Before I get to the theme, if I could just invite you all, it's been a blessing to be with you these last few weeks. If you would please think about subscribing to our YouTube channel. We continue to provide spiritual content. And I invite you also to support Corazón Puro. It is a work with inner city youth to help them grow, make good decisions, become the best version of themselves, become indeed who they really are in Jesus Christ. So thank you in advance for supporting, for your offering to the organization Corazón Puro. The links are there in the description. Now, so remember, we are looking at the Sacred Heart of Jesus. No, let's take a step back. What exactly is the Sacred Heart? Does it not seem to you a little odd that we have a devotion to a organ of our blessed Lord? The heart means many things. The heart has had different meanings in different cultures, but if you will, the devotion of the Sacred Heart is the divine heart overflowing with love and humanity. It is looking at a concrete representation of the interior life of Jesus. Like, what is going on the inside of Jesus? You ever ask yourself that question? Like, you see somebody and you're like, hey, what are you thinking, huh? Me? Why do you ask that? Because there's something going on in the inside. What is going on in the inside of Jesus? This is where the devotion to the Sacred Heart comes from. And now with the Sacred Heart, there is the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So for this final reflection for Lent for 2022, I want to reflect on the rays of the heart of Jesus, the rays that emanate forth like the sun, and also the rays that you see in the Immaculate Heart of Mary. They're also rays that flow forth from these hearts. We're going to talk about this. But first, let's talk about literature. Victor Hugo wrote his very famous novel, his classic, Les Miserables, which has been turned into a musical, which has also been turned into a movie, an incredible, a fascinating work of art, really. And so you have Jean Valjean, who is imprisoned for stealing a piece of bread. He was hungry, and he stole a piece of bread. Remember what St. Thomas Aquinas says. If you have 2 pieces of bread, and your neighbor is hungry and starving, you don't have 2 pieces of bread. That second piece of bread belongs to him. But here in this unjust situation, Jean Valjean is thrown into prison for stealing a piece of bread, and he becomes hardened. He becomes angry. He becomes bitter. And then he's released. And he finds himself in this one town, and he's given refuge by a bishop. I'm sure you're familiar with the story. And there he takes the candlesticks, the silver candlesticks there from the bishop. He's found, brought back, and then when he sees the bishop says, "Oh, my friend, you forgot also the silverware." This is a bishop who was living in utter poverty and was giving him the silverware which he used to eat. And Jean Valjean was so struck by this act of mercy. It angered him, it provoked him, it eventually led to his conversion. So I think Jean Valjean is the principle of mercy received, if we can kind of like extricate the concept from this. Jean Valjean received mercy, and what happened? His life changed. He went into business, was very successful, was such a gentle, prayerful, generous man. So the mercy he received, he in turn gave it to everyone that he could possibly meet. And the driving action of the story is that one of his workers was raped and had to sell herself into prostitution, and he took care of her even unto death, and took care of her daughter. And then on the other end we have Javert. Javert is the policeman who is searching for Jean Valjean with a vengeance, like a vendetta. And if you will, I think Javert is the principle of mercy rejected. Why? Because as the story goes, Jean Valjean saves Javert's life. And he can't compute that this prisoner, this infidel, this felon would help him. He can't receive it. And it eventually leads to his own suicide. So here you have two principles: mercy received, mercy rejected. In the Sacred Heart, the rays that emanate forth are the rays of his mercy. We learn this through the Divine Mercy devotion. The Divine Mercy is really a growth in our understanding of the Sacred Heart. It is, in essence, the Sacred Heart. And what an incredible need we had and have for the Divine Mercy. I'm sure you know the story. It is a story of a nun who is looked down upon, maybe not completely literate, receiving apparitions of Jesus, and Jesus telling her what to write in her diary. And this was happening at the same time that the concentration camps of Auschwitz and Birkenau were being thought up and being developed, not too far away, maybe a dozen miles or so away, maybe a little bit more. These two places, one a place of incredible mercy being outpoured, and in a place that's still incredible, the depravity of humanity, that what we can sink to when we are removed from the Lord. And anyone can sink to these depths. And we are always receiving the grace to ascend to these heights. This is the mind-boggling aspect of being human. We are capable of so much evil, and we have the capacity for so much holiness. So let's bask in those rays of the Sacred Heart. Mercy received. Mercy in English is, in Latin, it's misericordiae. I'm not sure what it is in other languages. But misericordiae, it means the pain of my heart. Interesting word, that it's some sort of pain that's given for a particular purpose. And this Divine Mercy image is you see a pierced heart of Jesus, and from it these rays are coming out, rays of his mercy being shown, this incredible mercy, which is a message that was needed in a time where incredible atrocities were done. In these days, it's so tragic, but we're hearing reports of possible war crimes done in the Ukraine. And, still all these things would have to be corroborated and proven. But nonetheless, if this happened, which it has happened many times in the history of humanity, God's mercy is still greater. God's mercy is able to forgive even these things. And when we receive that mercy, what do we do with it? Going back to a radiance of fatherhood, John Paul II, he wrote this in the 60s, not too long after all these things happened. he writes from the perspective of Monica, the daughter, after having received this mercy. Her father protected her, right, from the viper, and she's processing everything that's happening for her at this moment. She says, "My father's history is in me. The beginning is lost in the darkness of my soul, a child's, long before the wandering begins to trace his presence, because first there was absence. My father's history in me begins with his absence. Yet he must have been there all the time, though I did not feel him at all. How I do love you, my Father, my strange Father, born in my soul. Father, you who were born in me to give birth to me. I did not know for many years that you had grown so much in me for so long. I did not know your face, your warm eyes, the bend of your profile, until the day I likened the immense longing in my soul precisely with you, until the day the absence had to become the presence it had once been. My Father, I am fighting for you. Be in me as I want to be in you." Once again, there's something in us that longs for the Father's love. And you reach a point in your life, in your existence, where you realize that so many things that you were fighting for, that you were looking for, that you were thinking would fulfill you, when you come to that love of the Father, there's something that fulfills you. And yes, in part of it, it is your own Father. Whether he's alive or dead, your Father has played a role in your existence. And whether you have a good relationship with him or not, whether he is a saint or a scoundrel, your Father has left some sort of imprint. And we, in some ways, are dealing with the inheritance of what our Father has left us. Not that we're going to get to the mothers very soon, rest assured. But there's something about us, and this is seen in history. Remember, I mentioned Oedipus Rex, right? But even all through literature, this is seen. Hamlet, the famous stories of father figures, the Julius Caesars, all these incredible father figures that left an impression and sometimes left a scandal and sometimes left a difficulty. There's something about the Father's love that we need. And Adam corroborates this. But before that, I remember when I, working with my young adults in the Bronx, I reached an impasse. It was very difficult to get through to them. Perhaps I had been frustrated with some situations. Perhaps in wanting the best from them, I might have pushed some of them in ways that they couldn't receive. Sometimes you need someone to encourage you, but sometimes those encouragements are misplaced. You make mistakes. Priests make mistakes too. And so we were gathering there in the Bronx, and I just began to tell them about my father. I told them my father and my process to forgive my father, to accept my father, to accept how similar I am to my father, but at the same time how I'm different and how I'm striving to forgive. And that's really all I said. I didn't point it to any other situations or anything. Afterwards, they just reacted to me differently. They were nicer. They were grateful. They began to say thank you again. These are kids in the Bronx, remember? And this one girl said, "Father, when you were talking, I just felt like I wanted to forgive my father." Now, this was a girl whose father had seriously done damage, like horrible physical abuse to this poor little girl. There's something in revealing the journey of reconciling, being at peace with your own father, that brings healing to others. There's something about it. And John Paul II agrees. He has Adam respond towards the end of the play to Monica. He says, yes, it could be in the end you will put aside our world. You may let it crumble around us and in us. Then you will remain whole only in the Son, and he in you, and whole with him in your love, Father and bridegroom. Everything else will be unimportant and inessential except this, Father, child, and love. Could we not have learned this long ago? And the choir responds, could we not have learned this long ago? There's something about you learning who you are through your children. There's something about your children that teaches you more about yourself than you could ever learn by yourself. Now, maybe not everybody has children. I don't have children, but I do. Children begotten of the Spirit are still true children, and you can make an argument that they're even more so children. And I have learned much from them. And you can spend all day just focusing on that. And there's something to it. It makes me a better man, makes me a more humble man. It makes me a more prayerful man, a better human, dare I say? I hope so. But yet be careful. Because the mother responds. The mother responds. In the last line of the play, the mother says, you are wrong, Adam. You are all wrong. In me will survive the heritage of all men, implanted in the bridegroom's death. Have you ever tried to read John Paul II? Yeah. Sometimes you're just like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. And I've read and meditated his works for years, decades. What does he mean? There is something that could happen if we just focus in on learning from our children. It can become just about that. And we would be missing the point if it was just that. There's an isolationism that could develop when we are just focused on our family. I was speaking to a good friend of mine, talking about what's going on in the world and talking about how things are getting crazy. And he said, look, I know that I may not be able to change what governments are doing. I may not be able to negotiate peace in the world, but I have my own garden and I need to focus on that. And that is true. That is true. However, had I had that conversation today and in this context, I would say, yes, tend the garden of your own family, of your own children, of your own sphere of influence, but know that this is meant to contribute to the whole. The mother means more than just a mother. The mother always, in the writings of John Paul II, hearkens to our Blessed Mother, hearkens to the mother of the church, implanted in the bridegroom's death. The bridegroom is our Lord, and the bride is the church. This is not just about you, is what John Paul II is saying. These rays of mercy given is not just about your forgiveness. It's not just about you feeling better. It's not just about some sort of therapeutic exercise. We don't go to confession just to feel better about ourselves. It's to change the world. This is a cosmic struggle that happens in you when you receive the rays, but when you give out these rays of mercy, something happens. Good comes into the world. And in a way that we don't see or understand, the kingdom begins to become more established. And we need to go deeper to understand how we can become more a part of this. These rays received become more. And the experience in our children is also deepened. But this is always within the womb of the church. An example, just real quick, is a movie that I can't possibly recommend you watch because it's really graphic, but if you dare, it's 1976, The Taxi Driver, a very famous film. It's really the director has said it's really a feminist movie. It's a man who Vietnam vet, falls into this isolationism and seeing two images of women. The princess and the whore, which is the paradigm that Freud discusses and in some of his works. And this man torn between this image of beauty and purity and this image of innocence lost, just loses his mind. It's a man looking for meaning, but he's already decided on the outcome. This is the famous scene. Hey, you looking at me? You looking at me? You must be looking at me, right? It's like wanting someone to look at him, but not allowing anyone to really see him. My brothers and sisters, this is a common error in our times. The next time you're in adoration, allow yourself to be seen by the Lord. Confession is a beautiful way to be seen because you confess your sins. But when you hear this, I know sometimes I wish that the priest, when I go to confession, wouldn't say too much. Just give me absolution, Father, I think. No, but it's good. It's good that you allow yourself to be seen. And this is part of the beauty. The synthesis of all this is really the Immaculate Heart. In Our Lady's heart, she receives fully this mercy, and she shines it back. She is truly the principle of active receptivity. She receives from the Lord, and then she shines that light back out. That's why many times the moon is an image of Our Lady. The moon doesn't have its own light. It just reflects the light from the sun. Mary reflects the life, the love from God, and we are meant to do this. In her will survive, in the mother will survive all this. And so John Paul II also says that Mary is the archetype for all of humanity, meaning all of us must be like Mother Mary, receiving this love and allowing this love to be so much a part of us that it bears fruit, that it gives life. This is for all of us. And so, my brothers and sisters, in this 5th week of Lent, in light of the gospel of this woman caught in adultery, we are that woman. We are that woman. And Jesus comes up to us and says, "Has anyone condemned you?" And the response truly is, "No one, my Lord." Then hear the words of Jesus, his sacred heart shining with mercy. "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." My brothers and sisters, let us, in this week of Lent, receive these rays of his mercy. Let us become that principle of mercy received. Let us become that active receptivity of his love and shine it to the whole world. God bless you.